What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we're concluding the light novel Mobile Suit Gundam Twilight Axis. Last time, Danton engaged with the Bjarlint he sold. Arlette went rogue and found Sazabi on her own. She extracted the psychoframe along with as much data as she could. Meanwhile, the Kurwenal makes moves for Danton and the shuttle. This time, Arlette pilots the Ahava Azieru. We learn a little bit about how the Fermo brothers came to work with Burnham, and we see another psychofield. So let's get into this. A sandstorm on the surface of Axis breaks out. Danton parries Isolde's attack. The Arjarja is a close combat unit, and the Isolde is a mid to long range high mobility unit. He isn't going to last long. Walter thinks to himself that he hasn't experienced a battle like this since he was in the military. Isolde's claws grab onto the Arjarja. He isn't going to die here. He fires the beam cannon at point blank range. This allows him to get behind the Bjarlint. He stabs his beam saber through the head. Isolde goes down. The light on the Arjarja's mono eye goes out as well. Danton hears a voice on the radio. Walter knows he isn't a soldier. He wonders who he is. Danton says that he is just a simple dry cleaner. He tells him to come visit sometime and he will give him a discount. That is when the Kurwenal approaches. Danton hears Walter say, "Brother," on the comms. Arlette returns to the lab in the Petite Mobile. She doesn't think that Danton has a chance at winning against the Bjarlint, not knowing he already won. She asks for Char to guide her. He heads into another hangar where she sees a giant mobile armor with huge binders. This is the Ahava Azieru. She uses Char's old ID to enter into the cockpit. Universal Century 0088. Sometimes after the Grips conflict, both Arlette and Danton were given a new mission from Char. He wanted the two to take refuge with Haman at Axis. Even Arlette doesn't know where Char hid himself between Grips and the rise of newborn Neo Zeon. During this time, Arlette continued the design she was working on while helping Char and the AU. Char wanted Arlette to learn from the Axis team, so she joined the Maharaja Khan Memorial Research Institute. Her skills were respected, and she was given quite a lot of power in a short amount of time. I feel like they just needed someone to fill the role of Sumeri now that she is no longer on Axis during this time. This is when she started building the Ahava Azieru, a new testbed mobile suit for Psycho Wave tech. This tech would later be known as the Psycho Frame. Since this was a new type-based mobile suit, she was the test pilot for this unit. In the present, she launches in the mobile armor. Mehmet notices the mobile armor on the move. Even though it is a giant mobile armor, Danton knows it's the same pilot he fought earlier. The Kurwenal unleashes missiles. He dodges the attack. The Arjarja lost one of its arms and the variable shield during the last battle. Danton rushes the mobile armor when a bunch of beam blasts come from the distance. It is the Ahava Azieru. Arlette comes on the comms and says that this time she will protect Danton. Quentin Fermo focused his attention on Arlette. He didn't expect the mobile armor to swing its giant tail as a blunt weapon. The production of the Ahava Azieru was abandoned halfway through, so most of its weapons are non-existent. She gets one of the beam cannons to work, but it wasn't calibrated, so it did massive damage while firing. She doesn't know if she could survive this one. Quentin is very cool and collected as he watches a very unrefined pilot. He seems bored by the fight. Kurwenal fires some missile pods, and this time it gets a hit. He looks on the monitor to see Walter's downed unit. He didn't expect this outcome for his brother. The Ahava is in flames. In space? He turns back towards Danton and starts getting excited. Quentin and Walter were born in a very poor part of Earth and were orphans. They lost their parents during the One-Year War. During the Grips conflict, they joined the Federation New Types labs. They wanted to become Titans, but that all fell apart. If you watch Gundam narrative, they were probably one of the children that were freed after the war. After the Titans fell, they became mercenaries. The two lived rich but empty lives. Then they were eventually picked up by Butte Concern. Mitsurona used illegal means to gain power in the mobile suit game. This evolved into the Special Forces group Burnham. Also remember, Scharnhorst bought into the Ronin name. As poor war orphans, this gives the two brothers hope. Quentin realizes their mission to obtain intel on the psychoframe has failed, but he is still going to win this battle. Danton is frustrated for allowing this to happen to Arlette, as he is supposed to protect her, even though he doesn't know why Char ordered this of him. He thinks perhaps protecting her allows him to be himself. The Arjarja rushes in with his beam saber. There is nothing that Arlette could do, and it seems like the Arjarja is on the verge of falling apart. She can't let him die in front of her eyes. She moves the armrakers, frantically hoping for the mobile suit to move. That is when a light emits from the case. She knows what that is. This is just like the Psycho Field. Just like on the day Char went MIA. She believes that Char is helping by lending his strength. His mobile suit starts up again. The green glow of a Psycho Field changes to a white light. She sees the moment he and Arlette meet one another thanks to Char. The white light changes to a mobile suit dock. That is when he was testing out the Gelgoog. He notices that the Psycho Frame is trying to show him memories. He wasn't really a believer in Psycho Waves, but he is experiencing it with his own eyes. He is then transported to Axis. He has so many questions that he still wants to ask Char. The two have become the brother and sister that Char wanted them to become. He realizes that Char saw something between the two, and he didn't want them to lose that, like he lost his chance with Sayla and his family. Danton is brought back to the present, where he pushes forward, but the Kurwenal fires on the Arjarja. Arlette yells out to Danton. She moves her mobile suit and rushes towards his unit. She unleashes her eye field and blocks the beam. She continues pushing forward and crashes into the Gundam. This causes Quentin a lot of G's of whiplash. That is when he hears thoughts. They are Arlette's thoughts. This causes him to remember thoughts of him and his brother on the streets. He hates these thoughts, so he unleashes his remaining missiles on the mobile armor. Danton's mono eye lights back up, and his mobile suit is given a second wind. There is no reason to believe so, but he knows this is Char lending him his strength. Arlette begins using her tail, which stores the funnels. They split off and surround the Gundam. The funnels attack Kurwenal. Arlette is amazed that she actually used a psycho weapon and funnels, something I guess failed in the past. She wonders if it is Char helping out. Kurwenal is no longer functional. He purges the mobile armor to reveal Tristan Gundam. Even his Gundam is at its limits. He has to finish this once and for all. Danton says to himself that this will be the last time he ever kills someone. His and Quentin's beam sabers clash. But that is when another mobile suit comes in between the two. It is Walter with his Isolde barely held together. He tells his brother that they have run out of time. Axis is on the verge of changing Lagrange points, and the gravitational shift will crush them. He asks his brother if he felt them during this battle. It seems that they are the same. They stop fighting as they empathize with the enemy. The Bjarlant carries Tristan away. Danton wonders why they came to stop them. It seems that the Psycho Field brought his mobile suit back to life, which means he probably could have taken them down. Danton was ready to give his life to keep Arlette safe. He realized that he didn't have to kill anyone, and he never will again. He just wants to do some dry cleaning. Arlette looks back at Sazabi and bids Char farewell. The Firma brothers are bored as they rest in the hospital. They're at Butte Colony, which is owned by the Rona family, which I assume is at Side 4, as this is where the family tried to spread Cosmo Babylonia. They did a lot of damage to their test mobile suits that weren't meant to be used in combat, but they have no regrets as it is rare for them to find a good fight during these times. They also acquired data on that Seikomo use mobile armor they ran across. The two brothers begin bickering with one another. Back at Side 5 for Rhea, the dry cleaners continues operations. It has been weeks since the incident on Axis. Danton is doing a crossword puzzle when Mehmet walks in. He comes bearing a fruit basket with melon. Danton thinks to himself he doesn't really like melon, he just likes the artificial flavor of melon soda, but he accepts the gift. Mehmet sits down on the couch. Danton says, "Don't sit, that means you want me to do something again. Don't do that, go away." He closes the shop and asks if he learned anything about the two pilots. They were unable to find any intel regarding the two. He believes that it has ties to someone within the Federation, and because of that, they don't intend to investigate any further. Federation playing them hits. Once Axis changes Lagrange points, it will most likely never be seen by another human again. Data regarding the Psycho Frame most likely won't be leaked. The Psycho Frame wasn't obtained. Mehmet says, "That's funny. I remember seeing a green glow out in space during the battle." Mehmet is probably thinking to himself, "That was my Psycho Frame and you bitches used it." Danton says, "You must have imagined something." Both of them eat an apple instead of talking. Also in the manga, it isn't Mehmet who visits them. It is actually the two Firmo brothers. Arlette is out on a delivery and is excited to use some of that Mistema money to fix up their Ella car. She is wearing a necklace of what looks like metal scraps. It is what remains of the Psycho Frame that was used during their battle. She never told Mehmet or Danton about finding the Psycho Frame, but this is the last connection to Char she has, and she won't let anyone take it from her. Arlette never got through the mask that is Char Aznable. She in many ways is wearing a mask like him. Danton tells her how he thinks that Char was always looking for the warmth of a family within the two of them. He entrusted them with the same sense of family that he himself had once had before. It was lost forever. This is how Danton saw Char. Lala and Amado most likely saw him in a different light. She hopes that new types will help humanity understand one another, but she knows that it won't be happening anytime soon. She stops at a lake and throws the pendant in the water. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Twilight Axis. It is such a shame that the ONA completely ignored the connection to the Rona family. This is UC0096, so it would have been nice to have something connecting early and late Universal Century. We get to learn about the Firmo brothers. Unlike the ONA, which just completely ignores Walter, Burnham, a subsidiary of Butte Concern, is the Rona family dipping their toes into what will become the first generation of Crossbone Vanguard. You start with small insurgents, then work your way up to a military. We still don't know too much about the Firma brothers, but their history is more fleshed out in the manga version of Twilight Axis, though it doesn't really add to their story. Do you want to know how Walter got his scar? Yeah, me neither. We will cover the manga eventually. I will probably wait for someone else to translate it though. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, Char means many things to many people. What does Char mean to you? Peace.